Welcome to the Caravan Show, where we discuss all things caravans. That's right, everything you need to know about caravans, from weight, towing, maintenance, appliances, renovations, buying a caravan, repairs, destinations and reviews. We'll also chat with some Aussie legends, manufacturers, suppliers and of course, people who love caravans. Take it away, Roy.
G'day everyone, it's Roy here from the Caravan Show and the podcast, and on the other line I have with me actually President Dennis Wisson, or is it President Dennis Wisson?
President,
Roy,
yep.
Of the Cunderdin Shire. Now, the Cunderdin Shire is over in Western Australia. Can you tell us exactly where you are, Dennis?
Roy, the Shire starts probably about 120 k's east of Perth, and that incorporates the towns of Meckering. Another 20 kilometres further east is the town of Cunderdin. Cunderdin's probably 150 k's east of Perth, which is a good. It's not overly far, but far enough.
Okay, and as say you are the president there. So,
yep.
Dennis, how long have you held that role for?
I joined the Shire, Roy, in 2003, took over the President's role in 2016, October 2016, so it's coming up to 4 years.
Is that a people's elected position?
No, it's a councillor elected position.
But you have to be elected on the council in the first place?
You have to be elected on the council as a councillor, and then the councillors elect the President, Vice President, etc. So,
well, they've got to have faith in you if they've put you up in that position in a relatively short time. So, Dennis, are you a local man?
I am. I was born in Perth, but I've been here for 69 years, except for probably 3 years in Perth at college. 69 years in the Shire, more or less, and love it.
69 years. So if you don't know what's happening in your Shire, no one would. So what's kept you there in Cunderdin for so long?
We're farming, Roy. My grandfather came out from Victoria in 1925 and took up farming in the Cunderdin Meckering area. And so my father took over from him, so I'm the third generation and my son's the fourth generation. And so we've been here since 1925 on the one farm. Of course, got a few more hectares since the original farm was taken up. But, it keeps us busy.
Is that wheat farming, is it?
Wheat, sheep, all grains more or less these days. It's wheat, sheep, barley, canola, lupins, oats, clover if you're into sheep, and and hay, of course. It's hard to get hay.
Yep. It sounds like a lot of work. And your area is a fairly dense area, aren't you? How much space do you occupy there in the Shire? As an area?
We're 1,864 square kilometres.
Oh, okay. I'm saying you're dense, and actually that's a pretty big area. It's a pretty big area with a population of
1,500. So
yeah,
the density is not that flash.
The density is the exact opposite. You're a very open. Open thing. And farming is your main source of productivity. Is that right?
Yes, I'd say so. Farming, yes.
So tell me, Dennis, what sort of caravanning facilities have we got there? Do we have any caravan parks in the area?
We have. I'll start from the western end, Roy, at Meckering. Meckering has it's a free campsite. It's right in the township of Meckering itself. What I just stressed that even though it is free, donations are gratefully received, and the donations from that go to the local Meckering Action Group, which are a group of people that look out for projects that needs to be done through the town. And I'll just stress that it's also just a 24-hour stop. We don't want people there for 2 or 3 days on end, just more or less overnight, and as they continue east or west.
So it's a good stopover spot, you're saying?
Yeah. It's right close to the shops in Beckering, and there's a fees of interest that they could walk to from where the stopover is. And as we go further east towards Cunderdin has a caravan park, which is privately owned. Both caravan parks have dump points within that area. So for people with toiletry things that need to be emptied, there is dump points around.
So once we get there, what sort of things are there for people to do? I mean, I know you've got a lot of sites that people can go and see, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll start with Meckering again, Roy. Meckering, because of the earthquake in 1968, there's still a house that's not that far from the township itself, probably 3 or 4 kilometres to the northwest of Meckering. That house and surrounds as it was in 1968, flattened by the earthquake. They have a memorial rose garden next to the caravan, where the caravan people like to stay. That's in memorial of the pioneers of the district, and particularly in the springtime when the roses all come out in the flower. Well, it's lovely through there. Just to, a bit of a wander. They also, within that Meckering area, there's a roadhouse with food, and there's a couple of shops there. Colton's Cafe they serve coffee and food, and also a roadhouse which has all the usual hot food and all the usual fuel requirements. So Meckering, even though it was probably the first town in the Shire to be started in 1894. It did have the Meckering Road Board, which is now called the Cunderdin Shire Council, and that was moved to Cunderdin in 1961 because of the advent of the railway and the water supply. But Meckering, nice little town, not overly big, but the people have got big hearts and very good community-minded people in Meckering that will welcome anyone. So that's Meckering. Now, Cunderdin, a bigger town, of course. Cunderdin has the museum for starters. That was originally one of the pump stations that pump water up to the Goldfields water supply from Mundaring, which is out east of Perth, up to Kalgoorlie. Cunderdin has one of the pumps along the pipeline. That has now been turned into a museum, which is probably one of the better ones, or maybe the best one outside of Perth, as far as lifestyle, agriculture, deals with the earthquake at Meckering, also tiger moth. There's a tiger moth hanging from the ceiling, which was part of the Commonwealth Flying School in the Second World War. That was part of the aerodrome, which is to the north of Cunderdin. So the museum, well worth a visit. Of course, we've got the Anamuga pub, which is based on the Saltbush Bill cartoon. So that's just worth a visit, and a beer and a...
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Is it still called the Anamuga?
Yeah, it's still called the Anamuga. And
the one in Queensland had to change its name.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I'm
no,
go on. Sorry, I was just a little bit. I was a bit surprised because they had to change the one in Queensland from Etamoka to it's now called Aussie World or something along that line, because of some argument about being able to use the name Etamoka. And I'm quite shocked when you said you got an Etamoka pub over your way. Yeah,
we. It was originally started up by the Shire. Originally Shire owned, it could be going back 20 years, I suppose, if that. But now it's privately owned. The Shire's got out of it, and now it's privately owned. And I'm not too sure whether the the Atamuga have the franchise. I'm not too sure about that, Roy, but it is privately owned, and well worth a visit.
And it's still there, which is terrific.
It's still there.
So sorry about that. You were saying.
Yep.
So sorry, I interrupted you, and you were halfway through what you were saying there. My apologies for that, Dennis.
No, that's all right. Yep.
So you're telling us about the town.
Beg your pardon? The town.
Yeah, the town.
Now, Cunderdin, the museum, Cunderdin was started was opened up in 1906, so 8 years after Meckering. As mentioned, with the advent of the railway and the water, the pipeline, Cunderdin eventually became the main town of the Shire. And the Meckering Road Board was created, and that was closed down and became the Cunderdin Road Board, which then became the Cunderdin Shire in 1961. So that's where the Shire Council is. We also, just a couple of areas around the Shire, Roy, that people would like to have a look at. We have a couple of high points. One's called Bulgeon Rock, which is between Cunderdin and Meckering. Nothing as big as some of these other towns have, of course, with the wave rocks and all the different other rocks around this area. But at Cunderdin Hill, which is on the outskirts of Cunderdin, particularly pretty in the spring when the everlastings flower. The hill is almost transformed to a pink, and also with the granite outcrops such as Bulgeon Rock and the wildflowers, the orchids and the everlastings. A good time of the year to come to the Shire is in spring. And in saying that, I mean, even summer, even though it is hot and, people don't venture out from the city too far, but when it's hot and dusty and dry, as it is in January, February in the wheat belt, I think that's when the trees come into feet, when the trees take on their own grandeur and beauty, and that's the natural trees. People may not realise, but the salmon gums and the York gums and the gimlets, that's when they stand out. When everything else is dry and brown, the greenness of the leaves on the trees, that's what attracts me anyway. So, and there's beauty in what you see.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. Do you have an Indigenous population there at all?
We have a few. There is some reason why, I think there is some mystical reason why they have never been very strong in Cunderdin. Some say it's something to do with the Cunderdin Hill, which is, I've just mentioned with the wildflowers, but the Indigenous population, no. There is a couple of families in Cunderdin. We also have the Filipinos. They've come in reasonably good numbers in the last 10 years. That's because of the light industrial area that has been developed within Cunderdin and the need for workers. So the Filipinos have come to Cunderdin. It's been good to be able to naturalise them to become Australians. And I guess that's a good role as president of the Shire, is to be able to do that, and just to congratulate them. And, it's a big step to make to sort of change your nationality from a Filipino to an Australian, even though you probably, there's not much difference in how you feel, but it's that understanding that you want to become Australian, and I always enjoy that ceremony as a president of the Shire.
Wonderful. Yeah. Do you have a lot of art and craft and local produce in particular? I mean, you've got the farming type, but there must be micro farming with produce and things as well.
We have the shops around, 2 or 3 shops around, Roy, that sell preserves. I've forgotten to mention Colton's Cafe. I think I did mention Colton's Cafe in Meckering as a coffee and cake little shop. They do sell, they make beef jerky and also sell preserves. That's well worth a look. And different shops around in the Cunderdin and Meckering do sell the small, mainly preserves that ladies around the district have created, and also arts and crafts.
Was your area also part of the goldfield, or do you have goldfields there?
Goldfields. What was that?
Yeah, do you have goldfields in your area? Was that part of your
no,
history?
not really, Roy. Some people probably wish there was, but no. We sort of the goldfields went between the Goldfields Road went between Cunderdin and Meckering, Cunderdin and Cunderdin, and along that road sorry about this.
That's okay.
We have the Goldfields, and along the Goldfields Road to the east, just between the Cunderdin and Cunderdin Road, there's an old police station there called the Cunderdin Police Station, which was there, created to keep control of the men, ladies who were travelling up to the Goldfields in the late 1800s. So that police station is still there. So that was taken up eventually by a local family. So that's the Cunderdin Police Station, which has been there since the late 1800s.
So you are quite rich in history.
Yes.
But you've also got museums and other places for people to visit as well, don't you?
We have, Roy. I just mentioned the gliding club, which is at the north of the town. The gliding club is also part of the aerodrome, which, as mentioned before, was created as a Commonwealth school for pilots in the Second World War. That is now being used by the Gliding Club of WA, and also there's a gentleman out there called Damien O'Reilly. He's created a thing called Soarability, which he has 2 or 3 gliders which have been converted to take up the disabled people. So whether you walk or can't, there is ways and means of doing things, and to be able to, as a disabled person, to hop in one of Damien's specially made gliders and to soar above the earth would be something special. So,
I mean, this is a really big thing with Australians, particularly our outback Australians, who are just their ingenuity knows no bounds. They'll always find a solution to a problem and come up with fresh ideas on how to do things. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised, but not altogether surprised to hear that someone's done that. So, and it's in your show, which is awesome.
Yeah. No, he's Damien's, as I mentioned, situated out the aerodrome. He has his own hangar out there with 2 or 3, as I say, specially created gliders for this reason, and also getting back to the gliding club, I mean, that is also open to the general public, mostly on the weekends when people are free to go out there and pay to have a soar above the earth. I'm not too sure what they charge. I think it's around about $100 for half an hour to soar above the earth and enjoy the peacefulness and quietness of just a glider.
Which is a beautiful thing to do. So,
it is.
There's something special for people heading out west, and if they want to go to Cunderdin, they can go and have a beautiful, quiet flight over the Shire, regardless of whether or not they're able-bodied or not, which is just absolutely brilliant. So what other sorts of things can we expect to be able to do? Do we have fishing and those sorts of things in the Shire, or are we a little bit too dry for that?
A little bit too dry for that. No fishing. Very dry and, as I say, very barren during the summer months. Sporting facilities, plenty of pools, ovals, bowls, golf in both towns. So there's no shortage of sporting facilities. But I guess being close to Perth, I guess that's maybe one of our drawbacks, perhaps, that we are close to Perth, and a lot of people, I think, on weekends would probably, pop down to Perth. I mean, it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours to Perth to the shops, and I guess that may be one of our drawbacks, that people tend to move elsewhere on the weekends and not stay at home and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, well, this has been part of what we've been saying to people, Dennis, that, you are only an hour and a half out of Perth, which means if you're in Perth and you're saying, look, I've got a caravan, I want to go and do some touring, I want to go and have a look at things, they actually don't need to travel that far to start to see some pretty wondrous things. They're just down the road. So we actually think they should be leaving Perth, jumping in their caravans and start to do some travelling. And Cunderdin is obviously one of those places they need to go and visit. It's on your doorstep. You don't need to travel to another state to start to enjoy things that are literally on your doorstep. So an hour and a half out of Perth, wow, it's a magnificent weekend. You head out Saturday morning. You can stay overnight in a free camp environment and spend your money with them, because actually they quite like you spending money with them. It's not and it's your currency, by the way. You don't need to worry about transferring to a different currency. And I can guarantee, I'm talking to Dennis now, so they do speak the same language, which is another major plus of touring locally. You don't need to worry about that. And your food's good, and you can get fresh produce there, and you can have a whale of a time.
Yeah. I guess to promote the area, Roy, for people from Perth, they would probably go, it's only an hour to York, then possibly come across to Meckering, Cunderdin, then across to Dowran, down to Northern, back to 2J, which is also another one of the oldest towns in the state, and back to Perth. I mean, it'd be a full day, but there's a lot of things you would see in that day, and I should imagine it would be a most enjoyable one, particularly if the weather's right. And I guess with August, September coming up, the weather should start to warm up, and the wildflowers should start to come out. And yes.
Yes, travelling in Australia is a very Australian thing to do, and we need to be doing more of it. And we really want them to come out. And places like Cunderdin actually do need that business. They do need you to go out there, and it's not for nothing. Heck, there's so much you can do when you get there. So, yeah, let's go and visit Dennis at Cunderdin.
Yes, you can. You can. There's always something to do, and I guess that's part of the wheat belt. I mean, we think we don't have much to do and much to show or much to show visitors, but I guess you make it what you want to do. So, always welcome.
Yeah. So, Dennis, look, you've been fantastic to spend some time with us today. It's much appreciated. I know you're a busy man and you've got a farm and so much diversity there to do. Plus, as president, you've got a lot on your plate there, but you've taken the time to talk to us, and that's really appreciated. So, is there anything else you'd like to add and tell our people today, Dennis? Apart from come on down, you're welcome. We want to see you.
Just a couple of things I forgot, Roy. That if you're going to Meckering and stopping in Meckering, there is a camera house there which people would like to wander through. It's right in the township of Meckering, and it deals with everything to do with cameras. I don't know, way back to the year dot to probably the modern ones now, and so that's worth a visit. And also within the museum, there is within the Cunderdin Museum, there is an earthquake house. If you get there and it works, you'll be lucky. But it is one of these houses that really gives you a bit of a shake-up, almost like the original earthquake in 1968. That's something worth a look at and to sit down and to just experience what an earthquake would feel like. But they have their issues with that little earthquake house, and anyway, that's...
Yeah, it's something we don't generally associate Australia with earthquakes, but actually we've had a fair few. We don't have them as bad as they have them in the Asian areas, but we still do get them, and when they do happen, they do literally shake it up, don't they?
They do, yep.
All right, Dennis, again, thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated, and hopefully we'll catch you on the flip side.
Very good. Thank you, Roy, for your time, and... happy travelling, people. Now that the COVID restrictions are eased, well, I guess people will be heading north for the warmth, but don't forget, we're east, and the wildflowers are out in August, and we'd appreciate to see you warms up a bit and just appreciate the wildflowers. Thank you.
Thanks again.